I basically found my dad's guitars and stuff in the basement, and I wanted to play something whenever I was like maybe like 4 or 5 years old. I always wanted to play something, and so I started out wanting to play drums, and my mom would set up like, you know, buckets, you know, buckets of ice cream and stuff like that, and I'd mess around with that, and I always wanted to play drums, but I never got a chance to.
Well, me and Wanbdi, we came in afterwards, Mato, and Mato was already playing guitar then, and he's already, you know, doing stuff, practicing stuff like that, you know, while we were just running around having fun, you know. And then after, you know, she's probably maybe a couple of years or so, maybe a year, then me and Wanbdi got into it.
It was a lot of fun. I mean, we just sat down and just, you know, learned songs together. You know, our dad would, you know, bring songs out, and just we were basically an instrumental band when we first started out, and we just, you know, did like a lot of the old Venture stuff, and, you know, stuff like that. You know,
a lot of
all kinds of
Santana, a lot of Santana tunes. We used to like we could play any, you know, any Santana song.
Well, back to the beginning, you know, our mom and dad would go out and, you know, play and sing with us, you know, when we first started going out and touring, and after that they said, somebody's got to sing, you know, we can't tour with you guys forever, so so nobody in the band wanted to sing, so I said, well, I'll try it, and, you know, and
I always had to keep playing, man, just play and play and play, and, you know, I think that's, you know, that was some, you know, pretty cool stuff.
I've never really sat down and said, well, I'm going to write a song today, you know, it's never happened that way. It just kind of, you know, just kind of flowed. And for me, I kind of feel like if I start getting into try to think about it too much, then I would lose, you know, I lose a little bit, then, you know, it'll be me like, hey, he was thinking about it instead of letting it flow, you know.
Like even when we were in the studio recording songs, you know, well, it gets crazy because, you know, we'll all sit around and we'll go through the, you know, the jam, whatever we got going, you know, we'll play it, you know, one time, and all right, let's, you know, put it down. So, you know, we record it once, and then, you know, who's ever, you know, so we try it again, and then, you know, we keep doing that, it starts falling apart after a while. You know, we can't, we're not the type of, you know, I don't think we're the type of band that can keep doing the same thing over and over, you know, and it, you know, we'll do it maybe similar, you know, but it's never really the same. And somehow it always ends up being the first take that we done, you know, and, you know, that's what it always comes right back to, is me and him are starting to, you know, get together on stuff, whether before I was, you know, I'm gonna do my stuff, and, you know, you do your stuff, and I was always kind of scared to, you know, bring my, you know, my music to the, you know, to the band, because I didn't think it was, you know, really fit what we were doing, but, you know, I was pretty much proven wrong, that it is just, you know, it is what it, you know, what it is, so, you know, it's getting cool now. You know, we were real close when we were younger, you know, we were born together and, you know, everything, so real close, and it was kind of my idea, he was, you know, out doing his thing, and I just called him up and said, you want to play in the band, and then after that he, you know, I think he dropped out of school, didn't he?
Yeah. Came down and tried out, talk about hurting, my hands hurt for a long time. It hurt for a long time. Had to tape them up, and then after a while I just started getting the hang of it, and I was like, yeah, this is cool. And after that I was like, shit, I'm going to be doing this forever.
Then he figured out there was music.
Learned about music. But like before he asked me, this guy, he's like showing me all Stevie Ray stuff, and I was like, never heard anything like that. I was like, cool.
Yeah, he was probably about 12 or 13.
I was about 12.
And I was probably about 16 or something, you know. Because I mean, why wouldn't it hit somebody like that, you know? I mean, it's real honest music, and I think that's why I like it the most, you know.
You know, sometimes it freaks me out, you know, to watch Mato play or stuff, you know, just to see him play, and I know that, you know, he's not, you know, really checking out what he's doing. He's not, you know, one of those, you know, he has
to take the time to...
Yeah, he's looking, you know, looking at his guitar, you know, and And, you know, over, you know, I think 80–90% of the time he's playing, his eyes are closed. You know, he's never watching what he's doing, or he's never, you know, paying attention to what's going on around him. You know, so a couple times fight break out and they'd fall on the stage and stuff, and he'd still be playing. You know, it's like, go ahead, you guys, just keep going. You know, don't stop. And you know, it gets really freaky just to feel that, you know, that energy or whatever it is that's, you know, goes on whenever you play.
You know, because especially if it touches you in that way and it flows out that way, it's definitely a spiritual thing. You know, it's not you know, it's not something that, you know, anybody can. I don't think, you know, there's probably a few people that, you know, that do that, you know, that do that same thing, you know, that made me feel that way, you know, spiritually, and when I hear their music, you know, and there's very few that, you know, done that for me, and I just, you know, feel like I'm, you know, giving it back, you know, like what I'm doing is I'm saying thanks for teaching me this, you know, and teaching me what I'm learning now.
Still can't figure out how the hell, you know, we ended up playing. You know, I still don't really remember how, you know, it just happened, you know, where, you know, we all ended up playing music. It's kind of, you know, it's kind of strange that, you know, it was just something that was there, you know, it wasn't.
It was natural. Helps a lot for me because I have a hard time, you know, getting up on stage and self-conscious or whatever. I don't know what it is, but, you know, they give me the confidence, and then when he feels like, you know, he feels kind of low or whatever, you know, we kind of bring each other up.
Yeah.
So
Kind of, you know, whoever's kind of feeling down, it always turns out to be a good thing when we're on stage, you know. If somebody has a problem, you know, everybody's pretty much right there for them. You know, it's not, you know.
usually can straighten that out before we actually go on stage and play, you know.
Yeah.
Whether if it was you know, another band or somebody you didn't know, you'd probably say,
Yeah.
"Get out of here."
Yeah.
You know,
Quick.
Yeah.
quit you.
You know, and you know, being that, you know, Wanbdi's my sister, but you know, she's, you know, a woman drummer. There can't be no more inspiration than that. You know, that's, you know, she's really helped me along as a, you know, a musician, as a, you know, even a person, as well as, you know, just being there and playing, you know, music with her. You know, just, you know, that beat and everything. It's, you know, it's something else, man.
Mhm.
It's like that for me too, because like I forget that guys ain't like these guys. Like they're not respectful to women or whatever. So like whenever you go, like I meet other people, you get a different vibe. So I'm kind of glad that if I was playing with anybody else, I don't think I'd probably last with anybody.
It'd be
Because
different.
you know, because these guys are like they're real respectful of women. You know, any kind of woman. You know, every woman. So it's pretty cool.
Well,
It's,
well, yeah.
It's well, you know.
A lot of what you create and what you come up with is it comes out with, you know, what's happening around you too. I mean, you know, if you have like, you know, a good family, or, you know, supportive family, you know, like a wife and a son, you know, it's good to have that, you know. And it helps you create better and, you know, more, I guess, you know, you feel better about doing what you're doing, you know.
oh, wow.
Except for one guy.
Yeah, this one guy in the band always takes everything too seriously.
No, we're just kidding.
He had to put up with a lot, you know. Me and Mato, well, you know, it was, you know, as growing up, me and Mato always been, you know, real close and real crazy. And then pretty soon we got this little brother, you know, and just, you know, he was always with us, but for a while there he headed out, and we kind of, you know, got older and stuff. Pretty soon he'd come back around again, so when Horace came in the
back into
picture,
the same
yeah,
group.
when Horace came back, it just, you know, just started teasing him, you know, picking on him, stuff
changed.
like that.
Well, we might as well tell them that one story about, you know, we were going to Colorado that time, and we got in a Suburban, and it was real early in the morning.
Oh yeah, like
Crazy
Full in-
story.
Full in jokes.
yeah, we always, you know, always doing stuff to Horace. So we I don't know, it was like early in the morning. We were getting ready to come up to Colorado, you know, here, and we were playing Fort Collins, I think it was, but we were at home in the morning. You know, we were gonna drive up the night before the gig, I think so. But it was that morning, and you know, us guys, me and Toe got up. We were sitting upstairs talking, and you know, we just now got up, you know, just now,
Yeah.
and we were just like sitting around and we were smoking cigarettes or whatever, you know, sitting around the house. And then he goes out and goes out to the Suburban. We had a big Suburban that we loaded our stuff. So he starts it up and fucking revs up the motor, and he's fucking doing that. He starts honking the horn. He opens. We have the house. There's a side door that went downstairs, and that's where me and Horse slept. And Horse is down there still sleeping, so we opened.
I kind of pulled up to the side of the door.
Yeah, the side of the door.
Start honking the horn.
Yeah, open the door and start honking the horn, you know, saying, hurry up, let's go. We're not even dressed yet or anything. So pretty soon, about 3 minutes later, a Horse comes. You can hear him running up the stairs like, doom, doom, doom. He runs out to this car and gets in, and everybody's still inside. And he comes in, he's all pissed off.
It's just awesome to know that there's a lot of people that, you know, actually will listen to what you're doing, you know, and it's basically, you know, it kind of feels like how I would, you know, if I went to see somebody that I really like and be really supportive, you know. It's good how, I just think it's awesome how music can touch somebody in that way, you know, and make them really support what you're doing and make you keep on want to do what you do, you know. And
it's really, you know, it's kind of strange sometimes, you know, it's kind of weird that, you know, there's actually people listening to our stuff, you know, because we never really, you know, we didn't think, you know, oh, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, we're gonna, you know, we didn't plan on being a band, you know. Basically, it was playing music together. We didn't have no label, I suppose. You know, we didn't label anything, you know. It was more or less, you know, we're playing music together. So when we started playing, you know, recording records and, you know, playing out, you know, when people would come and, you know, just get into what we were doing, I mean, that's you know, there's no greater feeling than that, you know, having somebody actually rock out to your stuff and actually think of you as, you know, a musician or whatever. You know? Like, you know, it's you know, it's a pretty, you know, it's a really beautiful thing, I suppose, you know, listening.
It's when you actually think about it, you know, there's people that are like you know, there's a connection there that's.
Like when you're playing guitar, I mean, what does it feel like to be like?
It feels good to be able to just play. I mean, be able to go somewhere and be able to just, you know, do what you do. I mean, just let it all out. Whether it's in front of people or whether there's two people there, I usually like to just, you know, go for it because I feel like it needs to be done. You know, it just needs to be, you know, you just got to play. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
Because when I go see a band, I want to see something. I mean, I want to see something that's gonna make me feel something, and that's what he does every night whenever we play. Not only to the people, but to us too. You know, we're like, holy shit, what the hell? You know, he like does all this stuff, and
you know, you get that feeling when there's a big, you know, crowd of people that really enjoy what you're doing, and you know, they know every song, and it makes you want to, you know, work harder for them, you know, and give them more than what you know, giving. So I mean, there's definitely an energy there that, you know, you can't explain. It just like, then it just goes like a circle, you know. That's why we call the album Circle.
I don't think we'll ever stop learning, you know, about music and about playing and stuff, because you can't know everything. You know, you can't know everything. I mean, is life. I mean, you can't know everything in life either, because, you know, you're just being an idiot. You know, music's the same thing. You know, you can't never say you're better than the next person, because you're constantly learning, you know, different shit every day, man. It's an ongoing thing. It just, you know, keeps on going, man. It's awesome.
It's fun.
we knew each other ever since we were little, so like we all know what each other don't like and likes, and then that makes it easier on the bus and whatever, you know, wherever else you are on stage or whatever. So we know what each other likes and what we don't like, so we know how to go. I mean, we don't go too far with each other, and we know how to, like, especially on stage, you know, if he gives me a look with all of us, we all know the look that we give each other, like, oh God, why did I do that, or what the hell was that? So we kind of, that's the advantage of being, you know, playing with my brothers.
Basically, that's from growing up together, and I think, you know, learning the music together at the same time. There's definitely a connection there, and you know, it's hard to explain what it is, you know, but it's I think it's just naturally there, you know, and whatever. And I think when we look at each other while we're playing, and I think we automatically know when we're gonna, you know, stop, or when we're gonna change, or when we're gonna, you know, it's pretty cool, but you can't explain what it is.
Yeah.
You know? And I just, you know, the music comes, you know, and it's already there, you know, the natural high and the natural feeling of going out and playing in front of people is there, you know. And
'Cause I love doing what I do.
Mm.
And then just to hear you guys playing, it makes me just want to just play my hardest, you know. It just makes me want to rock out as best as I can, you know.
so I think we'll be, you know, definitely expanding to, you know, try different things and do different things on the next record. So.